Hello, listeners. Here we are again this fine weekend.
Yes.
This is Charles Scott Sr. along with Charles Scott Jr.
Thank you for tuning in. As you know, each week we bring you information, not just with real estate, but what's going on in the news and how that affects your life.
Today we're going to talk more about real estate and some of the things that are happening within the community. We are located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's our main office, but we are throughout the state of Connecticut, and we do referrals throughout the entire Tri-State Realty area. That's why we call ourselves Tri-State Realty.
And also, people don't realize when you call that number, you actually reach us. I see other realtors, you call them, you get an answering service or a secretary. You call us, leave us a voicemail, or I would say text us at 232-5523. That's area code 203-232-5523. Any questions you have, you may see on the show.
That's another thing too. Be sure to watch some of our other episodes. I think we have over like 50 episodes out there. You can go to YouTube and you can catch up. And our segments are usually talking about the economy, financial matters, things that can help you. So even if you look at one of our segments going back about 6 months ago, it's still relevant today because all of these segments have to do with your overall financial health and ways of getting you ahead, and some of the tips on buying a house or selling a house or renting an apartment. So you can go back and use us as research to look into some of these things. I get a lot of calls every day. People are asking me, how can I do this? Or I got a call today, a young lady asked me, what do I have to do to get started? A lot of people, they rent for 20 years.
Yes.
And they just, never got started. You know what I always start off with the question, why now all of a sudden are you calling me? You know what the key is always?
9 times out of 10 is the rent went up.
And why did the rent go up?
How about that? That good landlord you had for 15 years, hey, they wanted to retire. They sold the building.
He's selling the house.
You got a new landlord comes in. He paid a premium for the house. Guess what? He wants to make sure that the market rate rents match what he paid for the house.
The new landlord is selling the house. Let's look at it this way. If you're comfortable out there and you're paying a low rent and everything's going along, it's only a matter of time before your landlord decides to sell the house.
Yes.
And when he sells the house, he might be charging you $1,200 a month rent. Mm-hmm. He might have bought the house for $70,000.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago.
10, 15 years ago. So he can still pay his bills, make money, because his mortgage is maybe so low, or he may not even have a mortgage.
Exactly.
Now here comes along the person from Norwalk, Stamford, New York, wherever it may be, who's got deep pockets, and they say, I'll give you $400,000 for your house.
How about that? Now your good landlord is saying, he's seeing dollar signs. I'll definitely sell.
That's right. The landlord is now saying, well, hey, you know what? I'm in my 70s. I'm retired. I'm tired of fixing up on the house for the last 25 years.
Exactly.
My kids have grown up, gone to school, they're gone. Everybody's gone. I want to retire and go to Florida, and I want to go to relax. What am I going to be a landlord for the rest of my life?
Now, what also happens when a new landlord comes in, they don't always have to increase the rent. They can keep your rent the same. But what most likely would happen is they're going to increase the rent, which they can legally do, especially if you're month to month. They can just, submit a new lease to you. Or what they can do is not technically, evict you, but they can give you lapse of time. They can say, I need you to move. I have a family member that wants to access the second floor. I'm giving you due notice, and you have 60 days almost. I don't think 60 days is the average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how it works basically is that, let's say the new person is going to come in, and that new person is going to be paying $400,000 or whatever for that house. So now they have taxes they have to pay. They've got insurance they've got to pay. Then also they've got to turn around and pay their attorney and have a closing. And the new mortgage is going to be, you might say, $3,500 a month for the new landlord. The old landlord had no mortgage.
Yep, no mortgage.
So now the new landlord, like a lot of people say, oh, the landlord is greedy. He's charging all this money. The new landlord is really not making a lot of money, even though he's charging you twice as much for rent or 3 times as much, because the new landlord his mortgage is 3 times what the other guy is, or more,
Exactly.
because the other guy had no mortgage.
People don't realize that when the new landlord comes in, he has to cover his costs too. And if he's buying a house in 2023, 2022, he's going to be paying basically the equity your old landlord created, he's paying for it at this point.
Right, so now what's happening is he's going up on your rent to sort of make ends meet. So now everything has completely changed around, and the new landlord's got all of these different expenses. So now he goes up on your rent, and now you're saying, well, you know what, I might as well buy a house. But then
Yep.
what happens is that you come out into the marketplace and you say, okay, what do I have to do to get started? I've been renting all my life. I don't know anything about buying a house. And I told, like I told the person this today, I said, you got to go out and get pre-qualified. That means go to the bank, whoever you do business with, or and to get started. And they're going to want to see your bank statement showing if you got any savings in the
Yep.
bank. They're going to want to see your pay stubs. They're going to want to see you on the job at least a couple of years. And this person said, oh, well, I'm getting ready to go into my own business.
Oh.
And I said, oh, you got to be careful.
Be
Because
very
now
careful.
if you go into your own business, it's going to be hard for you to get a mortgage. And they
And
said,
they're going to
well,
want a couple years of tax returns
2 or
also.
maybe even 3.
Yep.
Because if you're going into a business, how does the bank know you're even going to make any money? You know what? Most businesses fail within the first 5 years. 95% of business
95%.
fail within the first
Might
5
be
years.
99 in this economy. But what we see now is when people are basically being pushed into a situation where now they want to look for a house, they realize that, wow, I just bought a car last month. Maybe can I still buy a house, Mr. Scott?
This person, the same thing. This
Yep.
person said, that's the first thing I asked. I said, any new cars? Oh, I just bought a new car. I said, oh, that's not going to be good. You just bought a new car. And I said, don't tell me. I'm going to tell you. Why'd you buy the new car? Oh, I needed to get to work. I said, well, I always say to everybody, so why'd you have to buy a new car to get to work?
That's what the dealer told me to.
Yeah, he said it would help me with my credit. So
Oh, yeah, I bet.
So now you owe $45,000 to help you with your credit. If anything, you're going to have trouble paying that. You missed one payment, and now you just messed up your credit. So it didn't help you buy a $45,000 car.
Exactly.
Been better off if you had bought a used car for about $5,000 just to get yourself to work. Use the other money, and then she still said, I got to work on my credit. I say, well, the money you just spent on the $45,000 car
Doesn't help the credit.
doesn't, should be used to pay off your bills. She said, well, I didn't have that much money. I said, well, how about the money you got from your income tax return?
There you go.
Remember, everybody got a lot of money from COVID. People were getting tons of money from not working, all that. I
Exactly.
said, how about the vacation you took? How about that? I said, you found money for all those different things, but yet you might have anything as small as a library book that you took out 10 years ago and you owed $5 and now you owe $50 in back fees that you actually spent $2,000, $3,000 on a vacation, but you didn't pay back the
basically,
$5 library book
Let's
charge.
get back to the cars, fires. People may say, well, why is buying a brand new car bad versus a used car? When you buy a brand new car, that's going to be more debt on your record. So when the bank does the pre-approval, they're going to say, well, you have a new car on here and you're paying this per month. That's going to be less money you can put towards the house. So basically, you get pre-approved for less or not pre-approved at all.
Not only that, what I tell people is this: look, buy yourself a used car. Maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, 10 years old. Nice car, in good shape, get you back and forth to work. And all that extra money you'd be spending on that new car, pay off your bills, get your debt out of the way. And you don't need full coverage on the old car, just the liability. You don't need collision, all the other coverages. So look, you're going to save money right there alone. You're going to save yourself a good $250 a month just because you don't need all of that extra coverage on there. And look at the end of the year, when the city taxes you on the value of the car. Would you rather get a $100 tax bill or to get a $1,200 tax bill?
Exactly. These new cars, you see how much they cost?
So
The taxes are just insane.
And they say, "Oh, Mr. Scott, you're a hater. You don't want me to have the new things, the new things in life that I worked all my life
Work
for."
hard for.
Well, you're going backwards. You worked hard for all of these things to reward yourself to go deeper into debt to help the other guy be able to take the vacation, and now you've done nothing more than went backwards because you're rewarding yourself with more debt.
Yeah, people don't realize, like, for example, if you buy a brand new car off the lot and you drive it off the lot, it does lose a substantial amount of, I would say, equity or value, 30% they say in most cases. But people don't realize in real estate, there's been situations I've seen where people bought houses, and how about this? When they close on the house next month or 3 weeks later, they've gotten equity. Like as far as the house they bought for $400,000 is now worth $420,000. Hey, the house is going up in value. The car is going down in value. Which one would you rather have?
Also, let me give you a little strategy. Okay, so you want a new car. Here's how you do it, okay? Get yourself a used car, save that money, put that money towards paying off your bills, paying off your debt, build up some savings. Now you buy the house, right? Okay. So now the new car is going to cost you. Well, you still don't have to buy a new car. I'm not a believer in buying.
Do you advise they finance the car or pay cash?
Well, here's the thing. If you can't, if you buy a more expensive car, you can't pay cash. And I would rather for you to, if you do have that cash, put it into property versus putting it into a piece of metal with 4 wheels. So therefore, I would say if you're going to buy a car that's going to cost a lot of money, finance it, but get the best terms that you can. I'd say buy a car for cash, because if you're going to buy a used car, you might buy a nice used car for about $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000. Make it, check it out, get the Carfax, make sure it was well maintained and everything.
Exactly.
Now your car's paid for. But here's the strategy. Here's how you move money around and make money, and here's how the wealthy people do it. So, okay, now, if you're going to put $25,000, $30,000 into a new car, whatever you're going to do, buy the house, okay? So now you're buying the house. Now when you buy the house, like my son just said, the house is going to have equity or grow equity real quick if you get a good deal on it. So now what you can do is you got 2 ways of doing it. You can get an equity line of credit on your house.
Yep.
That's one thing.
Or HELOC, as some people search.
Yep, they call it HELOC, home equity line of credit. So now you're borrowing money on the house that you just bought, or you get them to finance not finance the car. You take that money, that extra money that you borrowed against your house. Now you pay for the car in full. Now, what's the difference is now your interest rate is going to be low, because you actually got a home equity line of credit that you're using to buy the house. So your interest rate is going to be low. If you go and buy the car on your own, based on your credit or what, you might be paying an interest rate of 10, 12%.
Exactly. I mean, although the HELOC does adjust, it won't be as high.
Exactly. So now you're able to buy the car and have the house at the same time. And with the HELOC, that's much more too. A much smaller payment at a lower interest rate versus then the car. Not the car first, then the house.
People also, they give us calls and they don't realize when you get a pre-approval from the bank, they check 2 months of bank. They think they're tricking to get an approval, and then they come see us to go look at a house, and they don't tell us, oh, I'm gonna go buy that car anyway. Make sure your credit's still on point, and check your bank account too. And if they see that car on there,
then some of the things that we just taught you, it's like what comes.
These other places, for example, no payments until 18 months.
Right.
So do not be fooled by those commercials or those gimmicks.
You're going to still get if you're making payments. This person here also has loans. He's paying a student loan. The main thing is you should be paying. And if you do anything, search around to get the lowest interest rate that you can and start putting money away.
I'm surprised you didn't tell me. Go find it.
Just imagine you're riding downtown and everything. And then they say, okay, you don't watch car. For many years, I got friends of mine at the University of Hills. I said, well, because that would be the audience. And they shoot the keys. You're the keys that hold back keys. The only ones plan on doing a trade-in. I don't tell them that. Because if I tell them I'm going to do a trade-in, they have to do a trade-in. But they say, because I'm going to do a trade-in.
I was going to say, keys on you. What you want to do is pay for it. And the last day, you can't go around you.
And here's the we're telling you because we want you to keep much money. You can buy the house.
All of a sudden, the quote's this or something's there.
We're saying they all
information can be used for your insurance. We plan an episode around money as first put down payment down and cover your clothes. We have experience in our own program. So any questions about the program, please give us a call.
Right, do one right now. We're going to get free money in order to help her purchase a property. But the little asterisk on there, disclosure, qualified. Oh, I want the money. You know, what programs do you have for me? I'm a friend. How qualify for? In this case, it might not be to your advantage to be a first class because you're first home. You have no interest in buying a house. They're going to give a lot of a house already. Knows what if you paid us back all of our money, so they're good to go. I'm worried about. Now I got this person over here. Well, they never bought a house before. I don't know if they're going to pay me back or not. They're not used to being a landlord. It's not just up and down stairs. Who brings garbage? They're not used. As a first-time home buyer, you're actually more risky. That's not necessarily to your advantage. The situation with how can I say deals. They'll go into the house just thrown everywhere. You walk into the dealer and say, I'm a first-time car owner, so what deals you got for me? He's going to look at you like you're crazy.
Also, people must remember when you do our programs, any questions that happen, don't just run into YouTube and all this vacation. Rather than sleeping programs with mortgage. But remember, shop around more than your car. Certain because people average. Remember, this house you buy is a great money for you to move.
Oh, that like I tell people, because you say to yourself, well, why do people cringe when it comes to buying a house, or why are they scared or nervous? Because they don't do enough research.
Exactly.
And they don't, and to them, and maybe people in their home or in their family never bought a house. So they look at it as a privilege.
Oh, no, this is worse. How about this? They did buy a house in 1985, and they're the expert for 1985.
That's worse.
Oh, man, they don't know what's going on
They
in this
bought a house
market.
20 years ago, and they're an expert on buying a house, something that happened 20 years ago.
Oh, my goodness, we've seen that.
Which has nothing whatsoever to do with...
You show them some prices of this, those prices, you should never pay that much.
Then what? But yet, you know what I say to them? Oh, well, how much do you... Well, can I buy your house? How much do you want? Oh, I want $400,000.
Ask them that question.
But yet, you want your friend to go out and buy a house for nothing, then why don't you sell? Oh, no, I'm going to do that. It's always turn the table on them. Everything changes.
You see that constantly.
Constantly. So we gave you some tips today that
Very
can
good
put
tips.
money in your pocket.
Yes.
A lot of tips right there. If you just follow what we said today, it'll put thousands and thousands of dollars in your pocket. Why?
And also,
more money
money.
for you, and therefore now we can get you into that house.
Also, I want to say one more thing. Remember, people see our episodes on YouTube and Facebook. Maybe you don't have 30 minutes to sit down and look at everything.
Oh, that's true.
Remember, we have clips too. Go to TikTok, go to Instagram. We have all this digestible information in short little clips, and you can go from there. And you can always give us a call if you're confused about anything.
Yes, check out our clips. In other words, you don't have to spend 20 minutes, you can spend 2 minutes.
Exactly.
2 minutes
30
looking at the
seconds.
clips and get it all right in and watch those clips. I'm Charles Scott Sr., this is Charles Scott Jr. Check us out on the website,
Yes.
TriStateRealtyCT.com. And until next week, God bless.
Amen.